The following program contains views that are not those of WVTC, iNetworks Communications, their subsidiaries, affiliates, or financial supporters.
Hello, thank you guys for tuning in to Heavenly Sent People You Should Know. Real Men, Real Talk is our title. And so we're doing a series with activist Marc Carter in regards to some of the policies and some of the political, political, what would be a good word to say it? Some of the political information, we'll say that, that's out there. And Marc's going to give us his insight on it. And we do understand. It's funny, Marc, because I was reading something that said when people read and research, they're considered as being crazy and not knowledgeable. And so I laughed at that because, you and I talk about it all the time. It's important to be educated. And so without us being educated, we don't know what's going on out there, right? And so things can happen and things do go on because our people are knowledgeable. And so, Marc, I consider you, I'm very in tune with politics and policies. And so that's why I appreciate you coming on doing this series with us. So the last time we spoke for part one, we talked about Chicago Office of New America and their plan. And so I did a little research on that myself, and everything you said was factual. And so with that being said, where would you like to start off?
We can just pick up on some of that and then move into what we're seeing happening further. And so I'll just get right to it. The Office of New Americans was brought into existence back in 2011 when Rahm Emanuel was mayor. And then, like a relay race, the baton was passed on to Mayor Lightfoot, in which she went in and supported. And then now Mayor Johnson has the baton, and he not only supports it, but he says that we need a more robust Office of New Americans, meaning that he's put even more resources than Rahm Emanuel would have ever put into it, and more resources than Rahm Emanuel did put into it. But those resources would include jobs, contracts, housing, education resources. I mean, they have programs where every immigrant child, illegal immigrant child going into public schools system, legal and illegal. Let me specify that and bring that home. Legal and illegal child that goes to the Office of New Americans can receive up to $1,500 during the beginning of that school year. They can use the money for uniforms and computers or whatever they need, whatever school supplies that they need.
Wow.
And we're saying that any of those, if you're going to have those type of programs set up, then there must be those same type of programs for especially descendants of slavery.
Absolutely.
And I akin the descendants of slavery and slavery to immigration, because just like they came into this country with nothing, we came into this country as nothing, with nothing. And even in the worst situation, we came here in the belly of slave ships. And so there could be no talk of a new American or a new American plan without making those whole who are the original Americans, those who descended from slavery, those who descended from those that were enslaved and never compensated.
Wow.
In the form of reparations or any type of real compensations at the end of the day. And so, again, there could be no Office of New Americans, and there's not going to be an office for the old Americans, the original Americans, the descendants of slavery.
Just for the sake of this Chicago of New Americans. Now, this plan, I think you said the plan was written in 2011, right?
Yes. Okay. It was released in 2011.
Released in 2011.
Yes.
So this plan was released in 2011, and so that's the effect of what we're seeing now. So in short, what we see now didn't just happen overnight. This was already in black and white. It's just now being unfolded. And because we weren't knowledgeable or didn't know nothing about it, it was able to pass through whatever channels it needed to pass. And that's why that's
Yes.
what we're right now.
Yes, I mean all of this. So the day that you saw the illegals sleeping in front of the police station was the beginning, right? It
Wow.
had already been planned and thought out, voted on, and the Black Caucus voted on this in the city council, so they know exactly what's going on. They voted on it, and those that were there at that time, because we have a lot of new city councilmen, um, but because they're new doesn't mean that now that they're not in support of it. And we're finding that they're voting on behalf of these people, starting with the $50 million. When Brandon Johnson first went into office, they voted that $50 million go to illegal immigrants, right?
Wow.
And so whether they were there already or they're there now, and some that were already there, they all are pretty much on the same page. You have aldermen like Alderman Scott, who speaks out against it. You have Alderman Lopez that speaks out against it. Alderman the 17th Ward, David Moore, he speaks out against it. And then you have Alderman of the 9th Ward, Alderman Beals. But outside of that, the Black Caucus really doesn't speak up. And so this is about us as the masses speaking up and demanding that these people who are elected into these positions follow our lead, because
Wow.
we put them there. They work for us. And if there's going to be a plan for immigrants, especially illegal immigrants, then there's going to be a plan for us. But to make that happen, we must demand it.
So how many aldermen sits how many aldermen are in seat?
We have, I think now, it used to be 20. I think it's down to 18. We lost 2
Okay.
wards, right? So I think it's about 18 aldermen, more than enough to make changes.
My point
Uh,
exactly. So
yeah.
it's
Oh yeah.
18 aldermen. We'll just say 18 aldermen in seat. And you only name 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You only name 5 aldermen that you
Right.
know of that's speaking on this. So Mark, the other day I was talking to somebody and they asked me, they said, so if everything is already in black and white, what is it that we can do as citizens to change or to what is it that we can do now?
Well, we can demand that they give us our plan in black and white. Real
Okay.
simple. If there is a plan for them, then there must be a plan for us. And we're seeing more and more and more resources be allocated towards these people. Um, just recently, the state budget was just voted on, $53 billion, right? On top of that 53 billion, there's a new tax revenue that that the state is going to accumulate. Well, that new tax revenue, that rise in taxes, will be at the expense of us. We're going to pay another $1 billion on top of the 53 billion dollar budget for illegal immigrants. So we're being
Wow.
taxed to create a fund, $1 billion fund for illegal immigrants as the taxpaying citizens. A group of people that walked into this country, broke the law walking into this country, never to be held accountable under what's called humanitarian parole, and then be given jobs, contracts, housing, vehicles, education resources. I mean, just everything that these people need. And I would say to us, knowing this, we had better start organizing and rise up, especially you all as younger people especially that have younger children, because we're getting of age where just say in the next 30 years we may not be here, right? Well, some of y'all children are going to be here for the next, say, 50, 60 years. And if we don't deal with this now, what does tomorrow look like for them? Well, we know what it's going to look like. It's going to look like California. Tomorrow is going to look like California, where black people were pushed out of Compton and Watts in LA County and replaced by these illegal immigrants. Those
Wow,
illegal immigrants there.
that's
That's what it's
scary.
going to look like. And so, are we going to sit back and allow this to happen to our children and our grandchildren, or are we going to stand up and speak out? Because I can tell you this much: if we don't do something, 20 years from now, our children and grandchildren are going to rightfully so be mad as hell at us.
Wow. So, Mark, with that being said, the number one question that everybody is talking about, because we don't pay attention to politics or policies, we just know about it when it comes. So I've had many people ask me, being that Trump is now convicted, can he still run for office?
Yes, short answer, yes. And
How so?
he's not. He's not. I mean, that's the way the law is written. You know, the federal law is different from the state laws and things like that. Uh, we were able to run with a record prior to Ricky Hendon passing the bill to prevent us from running in municipal elections.
Ricky passed the bill?
Oh yes, long time ago in the state of Illinois, when Walter
Ricky Hendon.
Burnett, Ricky Hendon. Oh yes. So when Walter Burnett was running, Ricky Hendon was a state senator. Uh, no. I think he was an alderman at that time, and then once he became state senator, he then introduced the bill to prevent formerly incarcerated people from running for office.
Really?
Oh yes. In my case, when I ran for alderman back in 2007, Alderman Chandler challenged me. He challenged me, and I won the case because I had never been convicted for political crimes. Right. So along that time, right along with me running, you had what's the guy named Wallace Davis was running, ex alderman. You know, Wallace Davis used to be an alderman. Madrano, which is a Hispanic guy, he used to be an alderman. Virgil Jones used to be an alderman. And all of those guys were, because they had political cases, political corruption cases, they weren't able to run. But they couldn't rule against me in that way because I never had a political case. But Ricky Hendon meant for it to hit me and people like Walter Burnett, just like he meant for it to hit Madrano and all those guys. But we were able to defeat that bill and that law because we had never gone to jail for, political crimes.
Wow.
And so with this thing with Trump, even if you can't vote as a formerly incarcerated person, you can come home from prison and run for president.
Because you're not considered in their hands, if it makes sense. Because I was listening to the radio.
Well, the federal law differs from the state law. I was giving you a breakdown of state law in terms of Ricky Hendon eliminating the ability of formerly incarcerated people from running, right? But on the federal level, the same doesn't apply. And then prior to Ricky Hendon doing it, you were able to vote and run for office. Wow. Well, you're able to vote. Let me strike that. We're able to vote the minute we leave prison,
but not in prison.
But they tried to use the law to stop us from running once we came home from prison.
Okay. And so you can't. So you can't run for office if you're on house arrest, correct?
Well,
because I was listening to
long as you're not incarcerated in any form of fashion. So house arrest could be considered in prison. But if you're on parole, probation, and things like that, you can run.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So now in Trump's case, he can run even if he is sentenced. He can still run for president. I'm gonna go do a little bit more homework on it. I want to be right about it, but I'm thinking that he can still run even if he's incarcerated.
Wow. So let's say, just for the sake of conversation, in event that Trump goes to jail, Joe Biden can clemency him, right?
Well, the state, the governor, which is what some Democrats in the House are saying to Governor Hochul of in New York. They're telling her that she should pardon him. These are Democrats saying this. And the reason why they're saying this is because they understand that this strategy that those diabolical Democrats are running is going to backfire on the entire Democrat Party. And so they're saying to those Democrats who are part of what's called the Uniparty, and the Uniparty is where Republicans and Democrats are working together. These are the people that you see that are working together to get rid of Trump, the Uniparty.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
See, there's a separation between the GOP, the Grand Old Party, and MAGA. Those are two different movements. Even though they both are Republicans, they're separate movements.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, Mark, we do have questions. Okay, so I made a mistake. It won't, okay, so I made a mistake. So we are live.
Okay.
So somebody says, so you're saying the bill that you just made mention of earlier, we are paying tax dollars for the immigrants.
$1 billion. The governor just raised our taxes to give $1 billion to illegal immigrants.
$1 billion.
$1 billion. Now, that's not even including the monies that we're already paying. That's not even including part of the state's budget that's going to them. On top of that, he's raising our taxes, and so that $1 billion is just another pot of money to take care of illegal immigrants. And so I'm saying directly to, especially young people, do not go along with what's happening. Your future is at stake. And a lot of these older Black people either just don't care that it's happening or they have no clue what's going on. But either way, you have to be, you can't go along to get along. You don't have the luxury as a younger generation to go along with this. And Cynthia, I want us to start organizing young people. Me at 50 years old, it is my obligation to make sure that y'all don't fall prey and victim the way we fell prey and victim to this system.
Wow.
Right? They preyed upon us with mass incarceration, with welfare reform, with NAFTA, where they sent all the jobs across seas. I'm not gonna sit back in the interest of keeping a friend or not upsetting some old politician and allow this to happen to y'all. I don't care if they never like me. I promise you. I care more for the future than I care about a bunch of us old people, 50 and over.
Well, I told you I read an article. I read a quote that said, people that research and read are considered crazy. And it makes so much sense because most folks not gonna pick up nothing to read. And it's
they want you to believe that those that educate themselves are crazy because they don't want the truth ever to be told. And so quite naturally, they're gonna make you they're gonna convince you that you shouldn't talk to a Marc Carter. He's a troublemaker. And the question should be, especially to an older person, why are you not making trouble? With all that's happening to us as a people, why are you not making trouble? And you'll find out either because they benefit from it, benefit from not making trouble, or either they have some type of fear, or they just don't get involved, period. Either way, we shouldn't listen to that type of thinking. And y'all definitely shouldn't be listening to it come out of the mouths of those who's supposed to care about you as your older generation.
That makes sense.
And you can take as many questions as possible. I want to hear from the people.
Okay.
I want them to ask those questions, especially our younger people, and get involved with what we're about to do, because we have no choice but to rise up and demand resources.
I think once we create our Twitter spaces, people gonna come, because see, people nosy, right? Every people like to see, and so a lot of times, like you just made mention, when you getting educated and doing your own research, people looked up on like, oh, you mess with Mark, you talk to Mark, you talk to this person, and so at least with the Twitter spaces, it's not public as open as social media is. And I can say that because I put up a post the other day and I said, I'm looking for people who want to network, right? And I said, give your emails. And so maybe a couple people, maybe 4 or 5 people sent their emails. And when I got up this morning, I had probably 20 or 30 emails. And I said to myself, why they just didn't put it on social media? You know what I'm saying?
Right,
And
right.
so I understand that everybody don't want to be in the
Well,
like people want
well,
the
we have to make it fashionable. We have to take the taboo out of it, uh, out of getting involved. You know, we have to reprogram uh, our people's minds because they literally been brainwashed into believing that, well, if I speak up, I'm gonna be the bad guy, or they're gonna come for me. Well, they're coming for you anyway. What do you have to lose? That's one thing I loved when Trump said, "What do you have to lose? You're already on the ground." I mean, the only way, the only uh, um, the only thing you can do from that point is get up. You're on the ground already, and almost underground. And so again, I don't care about some old politician or some old person who hasn't fought for us and spoke up for us. I don't care how they think. I don't care what they think. This is about the next generation. And any older person who's not speaking the way that I'm speaking, they don't care about us either. They don't care about us anyway. And so, me wasting time trying to keep from upsetting them is a waste of time. This is about us talking to the next generation, figuring out how we're gonna help change our lives. Because even though you're a mother of a of age teenager, to us, you're still younger than us, and so we still have to fight for you. And so the only older people that we should be engaging with are those that see things the way that we see it and see it the way that we see it, and are helping and is helping making life better for the next generation. If they're not doing that, then to hell with what they think. No disrespect to them, but we're not going to sit here and cater to a bunch of older people at the expense of the next generation.
I agree. I want to give a shout out to Mr. Dean, Miss McCoy, Miss Johnson. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let me see. Here's another question. It says, so how do we go about organizing or getting that together? Who do we reach out to?
Us,
Okay.
simply reach out to us. You just reached out by coming on the broadcast. Uh, um, Cynthia can get us in tune with one another. This is about us just knowing that there's a problem and getting together and connecting with others that we know to solve it. Um, and then let me make this a real point of information. This to everybody who's listening. Stop letting these black politicians tell you about a white racist Republican every time you begin to have a conversation about what's going on in your community. There are no white racist Republicans in city council. Let me say that again. There are no white racist Republicans in city council. So when those
That's
budgets
it.
are passed and you're not receiving any benefits from those budgets, those are Democrats, which include black Democrats that are helping starve you. Stop allowing them to switch the conversation to white racist Republicans that are not in power, that have no say in Chicago. The monies come here every year for the water reclamation, city colleges, CPS, the housing authority, the park district. I mean, we talking the
Wow.
county's budget. The city's budget was what, $17 billion. The county's budget is about $8 billion. Chicago Public Schools budget $8 billion, and you can go on and on and on with these multi-billion-dollar budgets.
Wow.
And every time we have a conversation, they want to tell us about there's nothing for us, or some ain't no damn Republicans doing nothing to our people in Chicago because they don't have any power in this city. These are Democrats doing this to you, and the black Democrats are a part of it.
I got another question, Mark. What is TIF money and how is that allocated within the wards?
So the TIF program is basically where they have frozen those increments. So when you look at your tax bill, the park district gets part of your tax money, your property tax money. The schools, CPS, the park district, all those governing bodies outside of the city of Chicago, taxing you. Your park district is its own government. Your public schools is its own government. Your transit authority is its own government. Look at your tax bill. Instead of those dollars going to those taxing bodies, the city votes on creating a TIF for 23 years.
Wow.
And so those increments that come from your taxes are put into this pot to develop what initially was blighted areas, in which all of the Southwest side pretty much are blighted areas. So the intent was to take those dollars, put them in this pot, and then give them back to that community to build itself. Well, what we're seeing is that they take the monies, but give it to private developers to gentrify you out.
Wow, that's deep.
And they do it for 23 years. So let's think about 23 years of taking your tax dollars that should have gone into your schools, that should have gone into your parks, and all those other taxing bodies, now going to a pot for development and going to developers who are gentrifying you out. Well, that answers your question of why your school's closing. Because they was frozen the taxes that should have gone into the schools. It give you the answer to why your schools are closing down. Well, you got all these empty buildings. There's no more money going into education from those tax dollars, for your property tax dollars.
And so every ward
in Lawndale, we have about 6 different TIFs. The Ogden-Pulaski TIF, the Roosevelt-Holman TIF, and on and on and on. We have all these TIFs. So we got 6 TIFs, then quite naturally all the schools gonna close down. There's no money going into it outside of the Title I dollars. Title I dollars are the free and reduced lunch dollars that go to those schools based on those poor children. Wow. But you need more than that. And so they've created 6 TIFs in North Lawndale, then the intention is to wipe you out. There's no other way around, other way around what I just said. Wow. And nobody is going to tell y'all this stuff. Why? Because either they benefit from it, or they want to stay friends with some politician, or they just don't know what the hell is going on. And since that's what's happening, then we need to do more of these shows, and then we need to call everybody while it's warm. We don't have to go in somebody's building, because I know they're going to restrict us once they see what we're talking about. They're going to restrict us from coming in the building, like the mayor did when we tried to bring Dr. Umar Johnson to Washington and Central to that building. He shut it down the night of the event. Well, guess what? We can meet in these parks. We can meet on the blocks. Wow. Bring your chairs. Bring your lemonade, your water, and your chairs, and let's have a meeting to educate our people. It's time out for going along to get along with any of these politicians. They're not your friends. There's no such thing as a black politician. They're Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives, left or right. Just like there's no such thing as a black police officer. They'll tell you, if you ask them, they'll tell you that they're all blue, which means they don't see color.
Wow. Another question, Mark. In short, what's the difference between a Democrat and a Republican? I get that question asked so many times.
Well, I'll break it down like this. The Democrat Party are for those who want to stay dependent on government, whether it's Section 8, welfare, grant programs for those who are educated, went to college, and started a nonprofit. And the Republicans are for those who want to be independent, that want to own something. The Republicans are about ownership. They talk ownership. They talk education. And a lot of this came from black people. It didn't come from white America. When they say God, country, and family, that came from black people. The Democrat Party was started by immigrants for immigrants. That's why you see Joe Biden pushing to bring immigrants into this country. He's an Irish immigrant. He's not
Wow.
America first. He's immigrant first. And he's going to make sure that he takes care of immigrants. He's been doing it since 1973, the day he walked in the Senate. But they have our people so spoiled on these social service programs that were pretty much needed back then. I mean, yes, we were starving back then in the 50s and 60s and things like that. But it's 2024 now. Own some stuff. Stop renting all your life. Take your money that you're saving up in your 401k and all this and start your business and hire your family members and hire some people in the community.
That's it.
You know, all this money that the baby boomers got stored up. Invest that money into your next generation. You can't do. You're not. What, they gonna send the Brinks truck behind you, your casket, and you know the car I'm talking about.
The hearse.
Yeah, in the hearse. Invest in your next generation.
So, Mark, what do you think about? So, you just made mention of all this TIF money that's out there, and all this money that's going to other places outside of where it's needed. And so, I now notice, now that I'm doing community stuff on the West Side, I notice it's a lot of other ethnicities that come here, set up, get these resources, and don't share. I mean, I've said in a couple meetings, and people that don't look like me are in these meetings doing stuff right in this community.
Well, the thing is, how did they get these resources? Who gave them the resources? Who opened the door and let them in? I'll tell you who. The black politicians who we go vote for. It did not happen just because they decided one day they want to walk into this country and ended up in Lawndale.
You're right.
In 2015, it was either 2015 or 2019, for example, right? When it came to the Venezuelans, right? And you can look this up. The teachers union went over to Venezuela to make way for bring these illegal immigrants to America.
Really?
Go look it up. The teachers union, and Brandon Johnson was with them.
That explains why he going hard in the paint for them.
Yes, they went to Venezuela. It's either 2015 or 2019 when the teachers union went to Venezuela to go get these people and bring them to this country. So people are thinking that, like you say, this thing started yesterday, a couple of days ago. No, they've been planning this. They came public in 2011. And whenever you see government go public with a plan, that means that they've been planning at least 2 to 5 years out before they came out with the plan.
So then there's nothing that the aldermen in their wards can do to stop this then, right?
Yes, they can. Yes, they can do something about it. They have to vote on the budget every year. And there's something that we can do about it as well. We have to rise up and demand that our aldermen take our agenda down there, no different than those Hispanic aldermen took the illegal immigrants agenda downtown. Wow.
But then, so what's the number of votes to be over what's the ratio of votes before a bill is passed with the Senate? I mean, with the alderman.
I think 26 votes, because you have 50 aldermen and one mayor, right? So you have to garner 26 votes in order to get whatever passed. Well, we have 18 of those votes.
That's what I'm saying. That says a lot, Mark. I'm writing this down because it ain't making sense. So if you need
what's not making sense, I think that you're saying is that we have all these elected officials and they're not going down there and doing the same for us that those Hispanic aldermen are doing for illegals.
There you go.
You see? And see, they don't want y'all to know these things. That's why they don't want y'all talking to me. I'm considered a troublemaker. And I embrace it. It's my duty as a man to protect and provide the next generation. Not to be liked by a bunch of old people. You see, I'm not here to be. They should be on the side of what I'm saying. They should be saying the same thing that I'm saying. I shouldn't have to battle with them to make sure that the next generation is taken care of. But if they want to battle, I have no problem whooping on their ass. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with upsetting them.
That's crazy. Because Mark, at the end of the day, ain't nobody gonna totally agree with what nobody say.
Right.
I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm gonna agree with everything you say. And that
And
be
I
the
don't
only
want you
thing.
to.
Yep.
I don't want you to. I want you to go, and everything that I say to you all, what comes behind it? Go look it up yourself. Go do your
As they
own
say,
research. Don't
as
take
they,
my word for it. Go look it up, and you're gonna find out that it's there. When you went and looked up that Chicago New Americans plan, you saw that information right before your eyes.
I did. I
And see, a
definitely
lot
did.
of people don't want to know, so then they can use the excuse that they didn't know. And so we're gonna do it the opposite way around. We're gonna go get the young people, and we're gonna use them to shame the older ones. Then, when they
So
look
do
up, we're gonna be in one of these park districts with 1,000, 2,000 young people with a bullhorn educating them. That's what it's time for.
do you know of any youth organizations or any youth committees that focus on politics?
No, not really. But guess what? We're gonna start one. We're gonna start one because it simply starts with us going getting our young people, going getting those who want to be involved, no matter what age they are, because we're gonna have some older people that are gonna join forces. But what I'm not gonna do is engage in trying to change the mindset of an old dog. I don't have the time nor energy to keep going back and forth with an old dog, trying to teach it new tricks. If you ain't figured it out by now, it's not my job to continue to try and educate you. You're too old for me to talk to you. I'm too old to be talking to me, arguing with my age group. I
That
don't
makes
have
sense.
time for that. The children need too much help from us right now. On top of the fact that we've already been in a desperate situation, you're gonna bring a bunch of illegals over here. That adds to our problem. But I know you probably have some other questions. I mean, I want to take as many of the questions as possible because I want to hear from the people, you know, and see if they willing to join a movement to wake the rest of us up.
I think, Mark, a lot of people, like you keep saying it, and we see it. A lot of people are scared to speak up and speak out for the sake of whatever. But so I do know that there's groups out here that's already formed, and even with the non-for-profit sector, you see the same people being blessed, right? You see the same people getting the
Yes.
grant money. And so I say to people, you don't know what they had to do to get what they getting, and everybody can come in. But just like I just made the example to you, that there's other ethnicities coming right here in our neighborhood, setting up shop and getting all the resources. And and it's like, okay, who, as you said, who let them in? They in and getting more stuff than we think we get
That
access
we've
to.
ever gotten.
Yep, exactly.
They get more resources. Look, we have our foreparents have had dogs sick on them. They've been hung, water hoses sprayed on them, demanding resources. Whereas these new group of people walked right into this country, didn't have to march, didn't have to raise their voice. Dogs weren't sick on them, water hoses weren't sprayed on them, they weren't
Yes,
hung, and they just handed it over to them. And these
yes.
black politicians are part of it. Starting with Danny Davis now. They're part of it. If you go in Danny Davis's office, he has an office that's strictly dedicated to illegal immigrants. Part of his office.
No way.
Go ask him who deals with the illegal immigrant issues. They have this office set up within those offices. And that goes for the state reps, the aldermen, the state senators, the governor. The governor has an office of New Americans in his office.
Wow.
Listen, this is about us going and getting the people. We can educate them while we're walking down the street to go get more people. Put me on a bullhorn, and we start out with 20 or 30 people. By the time we get through this neighborhood, we'll have 2 or 3,000. Because I'm going to give y'all the truth. And I don't give a damn, again, I don't give a damn what politician gets mad at me. You know why I don't give a damn about what politicians get mad at me? Because I'm mad at him or her. Why do I care about them being mad? I'm mad. The children are mad. What makes them so important that we should care about them being upset and they don't care about us being upset? It's time we upset them and the apple cart. Just that simple.
Wow. It's pretty deep. You know, it's definitely receipts, as the younger generation say. It's definitely receipts being dropped because, you know, I always say if a person can produce what they saying, you ought to pay close attention to what they saying.
Yeah.
Now it's different if a person's just talking and, you know, there's no, you know, ain't no substance behind what they saying. And so, like you said, a lot of times, so in my head, I'm saying if this has been written in 2011, there's no way people in politics should know, can say that they didn't know. Because if they did know, they know now, right?
Listen. I want everybody that's listening to me right now to Google Cities for Action. Everybody, now I want somebody who, all of them that are asking questions. Google Cities for Action and tell me what the mission statement says.
I'm gonna look it up.
And who is it? Matter of fact, read it, Cynthia.
Okay.
Cities for Action. Google it and read me the mission statement.
City for Action.
Cities, multiple. Cities for Action.
It's giving me a TV show. Cities for Action. Got it.
Yeah.
It says Cities for Action, C4A, is a coalition of nearly 200 U.S. mayors and county executives advocating for pro-immigrant federal policies and launching innovative, inclusive programs and policies at the local level.
Read the next little part of the paragraph.
Our leaders have joined forces to Our leaders have joined forces to create stronger and safer cities by driving the national debate, embracing new immigrants. National debate, embracing new immigrants, and engaging with stakeholders to win on immigration policy.
Now, let me translate that for you. 90% of the black mayors from Jackson, Mississippi to Detroit, Michigan to Baltimore, Maryland, these are black cities I'm naming now, Chicago, Illinois, are part of Cities for Action. St. Louis, Missouri, I can keep going on and on and on. These are black mayors in black cities, Atlanta, Georgia, who have agreed to give all the jobs, contracts, housing, and everything else over to illegal immigrants. Now, if you go and vote for this Democrat Party after knowing that, then whatever happens to you and your children is your damn fault. And you can try to make up an excuse after you know this right here, all you want to, but you don't have no excuse because I'm giving you the information. Clearly giving it to you. What did it say? Almost 200 mayors and county executives have voted to give everything over to immigrants.
That's what it says.
They in Washington, D.C. fighting for policies for illegals. And you wondering why the kids out here killing and carjacking and selling drugs. Because the leadership has voted, along with these pastors, now because they Sunday, a lot of these pastors are getting paid to look the other way about this. Are getting grants and jobs for their family members and their friends to keep you in bondage. And if any one of them say that I'm lying, tell them to bring their ass on this show and let us have a head-to-head conversation.
Wow.
Google Office of New Americans. I want you to Google Office of New Americans and then hit the word images. Tell me what all cities you see.
Okay.
Google Office of New Americans and then hit the word images and tell me what all cities do you see.
Okay, Mark, wait a minute. So I'm looking at the Cities for Actions, right? So now I'm looking at I'm looking at the background, and it says Cities for Action launched in December 2014 when
Exactly.
when 2 dozen mayors gathered in New York City to commit to a set of principles and actions to support and uplift immigrant residents.
Now stop. Before they got together in New York, Barack Obama called almost 50 mayors to Washington, D.C. to consummate this immigrant plan. This was in 2014. Look it up.
Wow.
I want you to look up Task Force for New Americans and
Okay.
read me what you see. Task
Okay.
Force for New Americans.
Oh gosh, that's
Matter of
scary.
fact, put Obama Task Force for New Americans.
Obama Task Force
For
for
New
New America.
Americans.
Wow. It's in black and white.
Read a little bit of it to the audience. You don't have to read it all. Just read a little bit of
Okay.
it.
Okay, it says on November 24th, 2014, the president established the White House Task Force on New Americas, a government-wide effort tasked with better integrating immigrants and refugees into American communities. Wow. On
Just
November
blew your mind.
21st,
Just blew
2014,
your mind, didn't it?
the president established the White House Task Force on New Americans, a government-wide effort tasked with better integrating immigrants and refugees into American communities. And this is 2014.
Yes, ma'am.
And this 2024.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow.
Before the Office of New Americans was created in 2011 in Chicago, Rahm Emanuel and Obama had met on it around 2009. All this was going on. When they made you go in the house for the pandemic, guess what they were doing? They were swapping out the workforce. So when we came out of the pandemic, the immigrants had all the jobs and the positions to hire and fire.
Okay, so this took me to something else, Mark. It says this is 2014 is no, it says the Biden
Can you hear my
administration.
background? Because somebody playing music loud. Can you hear that?
Yeah, yeah.
Huh?
No, not really, not really.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
It says the Biden administration is reinstating a task force that is aimed at helping immigrants and refugees integrate into the United States.
Because Trump has shut it down. Trump shut it down when he got in office. And as soon as Biden got back in office, he reinstated it. Look, let me make this clear. Y'all vote for the Democrat Party, then everything that's happening to y'all is your fault. You know too much at this point in terms of just the information that I've given you. I haven't even went off into HR 572, HR 1909, HR 1305. These are bills, national bills that were introduced 8 days, starting 8 days after Joe Biden was elected. And then the following month,
And Mark,
And then the Senate introduced bills.
I didn't read the second paragraph, and you just made mention of it. You just said that the Biden administration reinstated it because it was put on hold with Trump. You said that, right?
Yes.
You said that without me even reading it. And so the second paragraph says a version of the task force has been in existence off and on since the mid 2000s, most recently under former President Barack Obama before it lapsed under Donald Trump, whose restrictive policies were aimed at allowing as few migrants into the United States as possible. You just said that.
Listen, I've been researching and diagnosing and dissecting what's happening to us and what's going to happen to us since Dr. Claude Anderson started enlightening me 25 years ago about La Raza, the Hispanic Party, Salala. He said to us 25 years ago that they were going to take over California. And so from that point on, I started paying attention to the trends. So I can spit this stuff off the top of my head because Dr. Claude Anderson trained me to do so. Every time he would come here, I was right at the feet of him, learning from him. This man is almost 100 years old now. He told us this 25 years ago. And if you go read Powernomics, he said that this would happen. He talked about this 30, 40 years ago. And he said in the heart of hearts of all these national organizations and their leaders, they know that immigration is an enemy of black people. And they're not going to do anything or say anything about it. So guess who has to do it? We do. You got any more questions from the people?
I'm going to take a 30-second break, Mark, because you just gave me a lot. Everything you just said, I read it. So I'm going to take a 30-second break and play this commercial, and we'll be back.
Okay.
My name is Cynthia Manuel. I was born in Chicago, and I am proud to be able to raise my son in Chicago. I work with inner city youth to show them different things outside of their neighborhoods. When these kids walk onto the farm, it makes them feel like they are free. I want these kids to know how to give back, and recycling is one of those ways. Okay, Mark. So I created this organization, Heavenly Sent Youth. And so what I do is expose inner city kids to different things outside of the neighborhoods. And as you guys have been seeing, I've been able to partner with people who have farm animals, horses. Shout out to that partnership. I've been able to partner with now the WNBA Sky, allowing families and youth to come and experience now the WNBA in a whole different light with these new rookies that they got. It's the hottest thing going.
Yes.
The White Sox and so many others. And so this is hard work, Mark. Every day I'm around here trying to put in work to create opportunities, not just for my son, which I totally can be doing, but I'm reaching for other kids. But what vexed my spirit, Mark, is that when it's time
to get the resources the way you see them giving it to these illegal immigrants.
Thank you. When it's
straight
time
to the point
for me to, get funding, and even with the parents, Mark, it's like everybody won't, but nobody want to put in the work. And so, I just thank God for just allowing me to be able to be in places and for the people that do try to reach for me. And so
now watch this. I want you to go look up the Chicago New Americans Plan and read the second paragraph. And this is going to give way and give you an answer to your problem.
What you say it's called?
The Chicago New Americans Plan. The Chicago New Americans Plan. It's a 52-page document.
Plan. And so you said read what?
The second paragraph.
Okay, the Chicago.
It should be on page 3. You're going to see Rahm Emanuel on the page.
Okay. Okay, the PDF, Chicago New America Plan, and number 1, 2, Rahm Emanuel. Yep, I see it.
You see that? Read that second paragraph.
Okay. The second paragraph it says, immigrants in Chicago face unique challenges and barriers to meaningful and successful integration. To fully leverage the contributions of immigrants, I assembled an advisory committee comprised of 50 business, academic, civic, philanthropy, community, and immigrant advocacy leaders in Chicago. This committee was tasked with developing strategies to ensure that we support the creation and expansion of immigrant-owned businesses, that we develop, attract, and retain talent and expertise from other countries, and that we bolster Chicago's stature as a vibrant and welcoming international city. So in other words, he just told me that this ain't for me.
So the resources that you're fighting for are being given to them. They're telling you. That they're getting ready to give all those resources that you can't find nor receive to these people. Now watch this. Now watch this. Go to the page where it talk about our growth, our youth, and our community. It's 3 paragraphs. It'll start off with our. It's gonna
Okay.
be our community. No. Our growth. Which one starts first? Should be our people. You see,
Maybe
say our people. Huh?
maybe somebody want to donate to me. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the page. What? Okay, I'm on page 3. What page?
No. Go to the page where it talks about our growth, our youth, and our community.
Okay, our growth, our the Chicago. Yep, I got it.
You see that?
Yep,
Read that first paragraph.
for our growth. Okay, it says. Wait, I just lost it. Our growth. Chicago can accelerate its economic growth over the next decade by supporting businesses and ensuring that its workforce is ready to fulfill employers' needs.
No.
The
That's not it. Is that 52 page document? Because I think you
Yep.
read from the 7 page document.
Hold on, let's see. This is the Americans plan building, thriving, and welcoming Chicago.
No, it's a page that has our growth is 1 paragraph, our youth
Okay, I
is
saw that.
another paragraph, and then our
Okay, I got it.
something like that. Go ahead.
Over the last decade, Chicago has experienced below average growth in gross regional product, annual average wage, and population size. We can reverse this trend by by lowering barriers to
Entry for
entry
immigrant-owned businesses. Now
for
look.
for immigrant-owned businesses.
Now
Yep,
watch this. Watch this.
by
If they say that
proactively.
they're gonna lower the barriers, what does that mean? Get rid of the red tape, right?
Correct.
So if you start in a business, you want a loan from a bank because what they say, the advisory committee will comprise of business, academic, philanthropic. Okay, so the
That's
business community is the banks, is the corporations, and they were going to relax all of the red tape so these people can open a business downtown, go
terrible.
to the bank and get a loan. Now go to the part where it talks about the 100,000 positions in that same paragraph.
Oh gosh, this
There
is
were more than
crazy.
100,000 unfilled positions in our city in 2011, a number that is expected to grow over the next decade. We will accelerate. What did it say?
Yeah, expected to grow next decade. We will accelerate economic growth by training
And
and
attracting
attracting
immigrants to fill these positions, right?
immigrants to fill these positions. That's what it say.
I can spit it off the top of my head
That's
because
what it
I have
say.
researched and read this on an ongoing basis. I'm able to go to war, a war with words, with anybody who tries to oppose this conversation around immigration.
That's what it say.
So in 2011, there were 100,000 positions. It's 2024 now. That means those 100,000 positions have already been given to the immigrants.
Wow.
And now, as more and more baby boomers retire, they're giving the new jobs and positions to more immigrants that they bring into this country. Now, read the next paragraph about the youth. This is the
Oh
part
gosh.
gonna blow everybody's mind.
Oh gosh. Okay. So youth. To attract top employers and create jobs for all residents, our city must have a skilled, educated workforce. Immigrant children will make up the next generation of Chicago's workforce.
That's enough. That's enough. What did they just tell you? They just told you that your children going to jail. Your children gonna die. Your children are gonna starve. Now the question is to you and your listening audience, what the hell y'all gonna do now that you know this? You don't have an excuse no more. Now, if you don't care nothing about your children and grandchildren, then you let it just move right along. And I guarantee you they're going to start dying and going to jail and robbing you and all kind of stuff the way it's happening now. Because this started back in 2011. And when I tried to enlighten the people through WVON and other mediums, they brushed it to the side. And now they see all this murder and mayhem. They want everybody to cry for them. No.
Wow.
It's right in your face. Does anybody have any questions on this? Any of your listening audience have any questions?
I switched pages. Wow. Oh, wow. That's pretty interesting.
And straight to the point, right?
I got to reload again. Yeah, I mean, they just said what they said. This is from the 2011
Chicago New America's plan.
50, I think it was 56 pages.
Yes, 52.
52. I'm gonna print this out next time. I'm gonna go to the library and print this out, Mark. So it'll be readily accessible for us. Because this is deep. Yeah, this is deep.
Don't get no clearer than this, do it.
This is deep. Because like you said, this ain't nothing that just
happened yesterday.
Yeah. So with that being said, Mark, we are out of time. I appreciate you. So we're gonna schedule. This is gonna be ongoing because this is information that people need to know whether they like it or not.
Until we deal with this, there's no extracurricular time to just be blowing in the wind. You know what I'm saying? Talking about some rappers or talking about the trees or a bunch of stuff that don't matter. You in trouble. You're
right.
In a state of emergency right now. You don't have time to be partying and playing around while these children are on their way to hell.
I agree.
When I mean hell, I'm talking about just think in the next 10 years, the spike in murder and robbery. Come on now, I mean, but until next time.
All right, thank you so much, Mark. Right.
Go to your Apple or Google Play Store and download the WVTC Gospel Radio app today. You can also say, Alexa, play WVTC Radio Skills.
Would you like to play WVTC Radio Network?
Absolutely. Download it today.
Views made on the preceding program are not those of WVTC Radio, iNetworks Communications, or their financial supporters.
Winning victory through Christ, WVTC Allsip Chicago, and iNetworks Communication Station.